If you listen, it sounds like the trees are speaking. The way they kind of rustle together. I want to tell you a story. In order to tell you the story, I have to take you back a bit. So, rewind a little to younger Zoe. She's in France, and she's at a hamlet called Plum Village. It's me, Zoe, by the way. And at this hamlet, people meditate. There's monks and nuns, and every so often there's talks given. I want you to imagine a day in this hamlet when everyone has gathered in a room. They're all seated, and there's families, there's young people, there's old people. Everyone's ready. And at the front of the room is a teacher, a Zen master. His name is Thich Nhat Hanh, a very special person, very special. And he proceeds to give an amazing speech that moves everyone. The speech begins with a question. It's actually a question and answer session. Believe it or not, Zen masters do those as well. And the question went something like this. How, in this world of pain, suffering, tragedy, and difficulties, can I feel okay? Can I feel not only okay, but how can I help? I feel hopeless. I feel like I cannot give any help to this whole wide world that is suffering. It was not my question, but I'm sure it's one that we've all thought of from time to time. And as soon as it was asked, I had many ideas running through my head, but not one of them was what his answer was. Excuse me. His answer had to do with a tree. And he said this. He said, imagine you are a tree. Imagine you're a pine tree. Now, if you are a healthy pine tree, you can prosper, you can grow, and become beautiful. And in that beauty, you are giving many things to others. For instance, you're giving life to other creatures that live within your branches. You're giving oxygen and nourishment to the air and the soil. You're giving fruit, you're giving many things. If you are a healthy pine tree, you are doing so much just by being a tree. Nothing else. You don't need to do anything but be what you are meant to be. That's what he said. He said also, if you are an unhealthy pine tree, then it's a different thing. So what we must do, he said, was tend to ourselves, cultivate ourselves, look after ourselves. And in so doing, when we make sure we are healthy, like the pine tree, then we can give what is needed to others, because that's all we really can do. So in this world where there's so much to question and there's so much suffering and joy, and many of us might feel like everything's going up in flames, this story is a blessing. It's a blessing because when we look out in nature, we can see the answer there. You know, when we asking, what are we supposed to do? The answer is there, and it lies in this topic that I love so much, which is being. really just being. So I wanted to talk to you today a little bit more about this, how to be a tree. And we'll go in depth also on a few other things. I'm going to tell some other stories too. Basically, this is just to get you thinking, because thoughts change everything. The way we see the world changes everything. That's the root of it all. That's the root of every action, every decision, every word. It comes from the way we process things in our brain and our being. So, let me see. I'm going to tell you another story. When I was younger, I wanted to be a revolutionary. I'm talking Napoleon. I wanted to lead a revolution. I was like 15 years old, maybe less, but I just felt like the world was so crazy and difficult, and it needed somebody to go in there and really fix things. So I came across an idea that changed my mind. Not only was it a few other ideas, I learned that perhaps revolutions aren't the best thing in the world, that they are difficult, bloody, and that change happens naturally. Always is happening. And things are happening just as they should in many ways, but we still have to be aware of what's going on. Anyways, I came across an idea, and it was so simple. It was so beautiful. And it really spoke to me at the time. It kind of stuck in my mind, if you will, because this idea didn't fully develop until later, but it was an analogy that said, instead of trying to change everything with force, be like a raindrop. Because just by being a raindrop, hitting the water, you can create ripples. A raindrop is so small. It's so small. You don't have to be anything big, anything huge, you know? But you create ripples within your life. And it's true. I'm talking you listening, create ripples more than you can even know. Because you touch the lives of others around you. All these lives are interwoven, like this, and like this. And we're a web of people and beings and things. And all those links that you have with others, you are making a difference through those links. Nowadays, they might be bigger. We might have bigger visions of change because we have things like the internet, not just books like in the old days. We have internet, we can get to millions of people, but I want you to think about your friends and your family, because this is what I began to notice in my life. I began to notice that the places where I really was making a difference, good or bad, was with my friends and family. And I'll tell you something, I wasn't making such a good difference. For a while there, I was actually influencing my siblings in a negative way. And so I decided to change because I really wanted to help them grow and learn and be better people. I really felt like it was my responsibility to do that. But that was an incredible moment, realizing that I had the ability to affect other people in my life so much, to get under their skin, plant seeds of ideas in their mind. You know, my brother and sister were so young. I can see so much of myself in them. I really can. And even my husband, Oliver, things that I've said, things that I've done, these things become a part of the other person. If I am being a certain way, it really does affect others. So, if I want to change things in my life, in my world, let's say I'm a revolutionary, I want to change things, really, the root of the change all goes back within. And that's what Gandhi was saying when he says, be the change you wish to see in the world. That's what he really meant. You have to start within before you can change anything without, or if you want to change anything without you, because what is without reflects what is within, if that makes sense. You are a mirror, and the mirror of the world is on you, and it's all reflecting. It's interwoven quite tightly. So, now, I just want to reiterate that idea of the raindrop. Imagine with me now, imagine yourself as a raindrop falling through the heavens just before the sky breaks into thousands of raindrops. You're the first one, the very first, and you fall through the heavens, landing in a little pool, a pond. And as you land, feel the impact you create as you become one with the water. You send ripples, perfectly circular ripples that move outwards from your being. And this is exactly what you are doing in real life. Exactly that. Now, let's go back to trees. So, a healthy tree is an incredible thing. A healthy tree is a house. It's a house for bugs and beetles, spiders. I'm hoping there's no spiders around here, actually. It's a house for squirrels, birds, chipmunks. In the roots, there can be all kinds of things. It's a house for woodpeckers, lots of different beings. A healthy tree takes in sunlight to make nutrients, which it then deposits around it incredibly in this perfectly aligned system by shedding its leaves. The leaves then decay, becoming soil. The root system gives nutrients to the soil also. And the tree transforms like alchemy. The tree creates oxygen for the world. Oxygen feeds many beings. But the tree also feeds beings with fruit, with beautiful, ripe, luscious fruit and other delicious things. So a tree might feed a termite with its bark, but it can feed a human with a peach. It can feed an ant. It can feed all kinds of things with sap, with many parts of its being. You know, I think we can eat most parts of a pine tree. I've heard that before. Not only does it feed us, a beautiful, healthy tree provides shelter. Not just shelter for bugs, and other beings. It provides shelter for humans because we, for millennium, have cut down trees to use them to build our houses, our chairs, all kinds of things that we needed. A tree, just by being in one place, growing root systems down into the earth, gives stability to that earth. So the soil does not wash away, because the topsoil is a very thin layer and it's quite precious. Soil is an incredible living organism, and by being there, the tree is sheltering it and keeping it together, those roots holding on. And it also keeps hills together and all kinds of other living ecosystems. Very important. A tree gives and gives. It is so beautiful to think of how a tree affects its environment just by being. In the same way, very similar, is a river or a pond. I want you to think now of a river you have seen, or a river near your house. Think of that river and how it flows through the land. Where does it come from? Where is it going? These rivers that we're thinking of, they are whole ecosystems. A river is like an oasis. In a desert, a river gives life. Life abundant springs from it with water, nutrients, all kinds of things. A river moves through the land, spreading nutrients from the soil, sediments and things like that, and it gives water to things like animals that really require it, to plants that really require it, and it gives a habitat to those beings as well, and yet it keeps moving. What I want you to think of here is the fact that the river, just by flowing through the land, moving through the land, the river is helping this earth and its beings. Is helping all of life. And all it must do is be itself as it flows through the land. Join me now as I ask you to close your eyes once again and imagine yourself as a river. Imagine the way that you walk through life. Turn that into the flow of the waters. Imagine all your daily chores, everything you normally do, becoming the river and the flow, chronologically flowing through time, moving through your life. Now imagine that where you go and where you have been and where you will go, all around you, life is abundant, and it is fed and nourished by you. You being a source of energy, a source that people and beings and everything you touch can benefit from. Imagine that just by being you, being in this world and moving through it, you can actually touch the lives of others. So, we shall move on. Let's see. Last week I had this beautiful vision. I was out for a walk. I was walking around, just enjoying things and thinking of how I wanted to feel in the future and a few other manifestation type things. And a beautiful thought came to my mind, a really incredible thought that captured the full every aspect of how I want to feel and what I want to do and what I want to be. And I had been focusing on feeling as opposed to specific imagery, just because it works a lot better when you focus on how you want to feel. That's a manifestation tip. But this vision I had, it was of a tree, perfect for what I'm talking about today, I know. And I imagined myself as this beautiful, incredibly old, grand tree, like Grandmother Willow from Pocahontas. And I was kind of thinking into the future here, but this tree that I imagined myself as, it covered every aspect of how I want to be in this world, what I want to be, who I want to be, how I want to live, everything, all an analogy, but it's so perfect. And I wanted to share that with you. So I imagined myself as this tree with very deep roots, deep into the earth, grounded, connected to the earth. And I imagine my branches reaching so high to the heavens and kind of uniting those two worlds, heaven, earth. Very cliche, I know, but I'm talking spiritual realms, earthly realms, being the connector between them both in my personal body and being. I imagine many branches, many, because I have so many interests in life, and this is something I'm very passionate about. I want to do maybe another video in the future about being various, being truly interested in all the things you are. Don't try and put yourself in a box, that kind of thing. But I have so many interests, and I love them all, and I want to continue to learn, continue to grow, all of that. I imagined myself being a master of alchemy in the way that a tree can transform light into energy, can transform gases into oxygen. I imagined myself having seeds, maybe like those helicopter seeds that spiral down. That's a lot of fun. But scattering these seeds around, and these seeds actually being ideas. I really felt this is it. This is what I'm going to try and manifest. This is what I'm going to try and do, become, really. And everything else is kind of a part of that, like the branches. Everything else is a leaf on that tree. But the tree, that is my vision. That is my dream. And I hope I can inspire some of you to think about these things, because the real point here, what I am really trying to say with these stories and these analogies and all of this, I'm trying to get you to think about the way that you can be influencing others just by being who you are. I want you to take responsibility for that. I want you to think about it, see it, and take responsibility for the way that you are dispersing your vibes, just like that raindrop in a pool. I want you to know that that's happening, because what each of us does counts in this world. What we do counts. I know there's a lot of thought out there, and I've thought it myself. I've been nihilistic. I've been there where I'm like, nothing I do matters because I'm just one person in billions, and I don't have a voice, I don't have a platform, I can't make a difference, and nothing I do actually makes any difference. I'm just the tiniest percentage. But you know what? It's not true. That's not true at all. What we do counts, and here is why. We are not just one being, we are one whole being, interbeing. We are so connected to not just other humans, we are connected to all other beings on this planet. And what we do affects the others in that web. It really does. Just like it can affect my siblings if I'm being a certain way. Just like it can affect, sorry, there's lots of bikers today. Just like it can affect many, many others if I am consuming certain things, foods, products, stuff like that. Everything I do counts. It really does. And everything you do counts too. So that's the truth. That's the real truth, is the web of interbeing. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you can go on and think about these things. I've actually made a little, I guess you could call it a zine or a little booklet, especially just for you guys. This is something that I'm really excited about. I'm moving into new creative pathways. I love writing, I love creating. So I wanted to make something to go along with my videos sometimes, and I'll put it below. If you look, you might see I've got some of the stories reiterated there. I've got beautiful illustrations, and I just really wanted to give you a practical resource to remind you of how to be a tree and how to be a raindrop, because that is what I want you to go home with. I want you to be able to meditate on those aspects, those analogies, and let them seep into your body, into your mind, into your being. Let them kind of rest there for a while and see what they can do there. So feel free to check that out. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I really love you all. Go in peace.